All right, you got an offer, now what? Navigating offers and negotiations can be one of the most exciting yet nerve-wracking parts of the home selling journey. The decisions you make during this stage can significantly impact your final outcome. In this video, I'm going to be walking you through everything that you need to know to handle offers and negotiations like a pro, ensuring that you get the best deal possible. Let's dive in. What's up, everyone? My name is Jack Bouvier with the Bouvier dynamic real estate market here that we have in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. If you have any questions whatsoever about buying, selling, or investing here in Saskatchewan, I'd be more than happy to help out. Feel free to reach out to me. All my contact details are in the description below, and I'd be more than happy to help. All right, now's your time to understand offers. What does an offer include? Well, some key components to understand about the offer is one, you have your purchase price, you have your contingencies. So what is the offer contingent of, such as inspections, appraisals, financing, roof inspection. There's a whole list of services that you can do, and it's in a document called the ancillary services document. So when you get that document, you can check off every single service that you're going to get done in your offer. These conditions or subject tos are typically in the favor of the buyer in order for them to get all of their ducks in a row before they go ahead, submit their deposit, and close on the property. Then also in the offer, you have your closing time frame. So when do these conditions have to be satisfied by? Then you also have the possession date. So when are you going to be taking possession of the property? When is the property actually going to be transferring ownership? And usually the conditional period is about a 2-week period. The possession date is another 2 weeks after the conditional removal date. And the reason being is because the lawyers all need to transfer over title, the tax adjustments, do the necessary transfer for the new buyer to take possession of the house. And if you can have a quicker conditional period, then it's going to be even more advantageous to the seller to get a quick closing, to know that it's going to go through. Other things in the offer is you're also going to have your inclusions and your exclusions. So what is included in the property? Are you going to be including some furniture? Are you going to be including the tenant's lease agreement and damage deposit? Or are you going to be excluding certain things? Potentially there's going to be some cleaning required before that the owner takes possession. Then you also have your earnest money deposit. So how much are the buyers going to be putting down on the property to actually make it a legal contract and secure the contract? This earnest money deposit does get held in trust, so you should have that submitted to a lawyer or a real estate brokerage to hold it in trust until the conditions are satisfied. If the conditions are satisfied, then that deposit gets defaulted to the seller, and if the conditions are not satisfied by that conditional removal date, then that deposit gets sent back to the buyer. Word for advice is to always carefully review each component and to understand the buyer's intent and flexibility. Understand what's their motivation, why are they looking to buy, and timeline if there's any underlying issues that they need to resolve before going ahead with the contract. So what do you do if you get multiple offers? Well, congratulations, because this is an amazing step and a great accomplishment. You got lots of interest on your property, and now it's just a matter of getting the best right deal for you. So when you do get multiple offers, you must compare obviously all aspects of the offer, not just the price, the possession date, the terms, the inclusions, the conditions, the conditional dates, all that stuff. Sometimes a cash offer versus an offer that has a financing contingency is more suitable, even if it is a slightly lower price, since you know that it is going to be a firm sale the day that you sign it, if there's no other contingencies. Some things that are important to look for in an offer is seeing if it's truly realistic. You want to know that the buyers are pre-approved, that they have their financing in check. Ask for their pre-approval letter if you are unsure. You also want to make sure if they do have those other contingencies in place, are they things that you can take care of, or is it things that the buyer is going to have to take care of? And make sure it's clear in the contingencies section who takes care of what. And also just make sure that the possession date lines up with your goals, and everything else, and like the inclusions and the exclusions are things that you're willing and able to accommodate. What are some strategies for successful negotiations? When you are negotiating, you must stay objective. Focus on the facts and numbers rather than emotions. You must treat the negotiation as a business transaction to make logical decisions. Don't just think about, oh, your kids were raised here and you got this many good memories here in XYZ. You must be objective. You must know the true market value of the home. Have your appraisal value ready to go that you can show the buyers, and show them some comparable recent sales that just happened, so you know that the value of your home that you're sticking with and the bottom line price that you're staying at is reasonable and it's fair and it's just adjust with where the market's at if a buyer still tries to make you those lowball offers and get you down more in price. You must have your logical data and research done so you know that where you stand is at a fair market value. And this goes on to my second point. You must know your bottom line price. You must know your bottom line price that you're absolutely not going to negotiate any lower than before you actually go into negotiations with the buyer. You must know what you're willing to give up and what you're willing not to give up. Like, let's say if it's that freezer downstairs that you spent thousands of dollars on, or it was gifted to you and you just can't sell it with the property, then you must know and make that clear to the buyers and saying what is absolutely not negotiable and what might be negotiable. Also, utilize counteroffers to your advantage. Making a strategic counteroffer that addresses your needs while keeping the other buyer engaged and understood can go a long way. You want to use these counteroffers to fine-tune the terms, such as adjusting the closing date or the deposit amount or the conditional date or certain wordings of the conditions, so you know that you're protected and it's on your terms, but you're also making it acceptable for the buyer to make sure that you still get a deal. Another big thing is responding promptly. If someone does submit you an offer, then it's always acceptable at a certain period. Time is of the essence. It makes sure that the buyers are still engaged and it reduces the risk of them moving on to another property. And lastly, you want to leverage your real estate agent if applicable. A skilled agent can provide lots of expert advice, market insights, and negotiating tactics to make sure that you get the best price for your house. Lean on an agent that you trust to get you the best deal. What are some common challenges when it comes to receiving these offers and negotiations, and how do you overcome them? Well, lots of times people get these crazy lowball offers. They'll get party coming in and offer them a crazy low amount, just off the cuff verbal offer, but you don't want to take it personally. They're not trying to hurt you or your feelings. It's truly just them trying to get a deal on the property, and it's a starting point. You want to counter offer with a reasonable price and say, hey, thank you for your offer. I really appreciate that. I'm glad that you guys are interested in my house. However, I truly feel like my house is worth more than that. Since this property sold for this price, it's got these features, these upgrades, XYZ, and having all your logical reasons as to why you priced the way you did with the data supporting that. As well, another big challenge that people face is just stalled negotiations. They may get an offer, write a counter offer, and then just never hear back from the buyer again. You want to offer some small concessions, such as covering a portion of the closing costs, maybe highlight some of the property values that it has as a feature and benefit, and just try to keep the communication going, keep it open to show that you're willing to work to a solution. You don't want to just say, hey, this is my final best offer, take it or leave it. If you do have an offer on the table, you want to make sure that you're engaging with those buyers, because sometimes that might be the last best buyer that you might get in the next couple of months. So you want to make sure that you do engage with them, because if you don't, then you risk the chance of not getting another offer in the long term. Another thing is dealing with contingencies. You want to make sure that you're protected. You want to set clear deadlines for inspections, financing, and other contingencies. You want to make sure that the deposit is going to be non-refundable after these conditions are met. Since if they've removed the conditions and they can't close on the actual possession date, then you get that deposit. So you want to make sure that deposit is enough of a worth for you to actually go through that whole process, and a high enough amount for the buyers to make sure that they actually want to close on the property. So make sure that these contingencies are clearly written to know who's doing what, and that you're able to actually make them satisfactory, and that it protects you as well. Lastly, you want to finalize the deal. So you must review over this purchase contract that the buyer submitted, making sure that all the agreed terms are accurately reflected in the contract. Have a real estate lawyer or an experienced real estate agent review over the document for accuracy. Prepare for closing. Gather all the necessary documents, such as the title, disclosures, payoff statements, all that stuff. When you do prepare for closing, you're going to meet with your lawyer. They're going to review over all the documents. You're going to sign it off with them, and they're going to make sure that all the adjustments and the title transfer has been made. And last but not least, you're going to want to celebrate for success. Once the deal is closed, take a moment to acknowledge your accomplishment. Consider sending a thank you note to the buyer to maintain goodwill and make sure that the final process and the closing date goes smoothly. So in summary, some tips for some good negotiations are: be flexible when possible in your favor. Small compromises can lead to a successful deal without sacrificing too much. Maintain professionalism. Keep emotions in check and focus on finding a win-win solution. Then lastly, stay informed about the market trends. Having knowledge of your local market conditions gives you an edge in negotiations. Staying up to date with the Saskatoon real estate trends will support you with your decisions and final offers. Navigating these offers and negotiations can feel very intimidating, but with the right strategies, preparation, and mindset, you can achieve a successful outcome. So remember, every offer is an opportunity, and how you handle it makes all the difference. If you need some expert guidance or have questions about the selling journey at all, feel free to give me a call. My contact details are below, along with all my other resources on my website, and look forward to helping you however I can.